Well, I am excited today to introduce you to my special guest, Steve Drury. And Steve is someone that I have come to know very well in the past few years on some projects that we've worked together on, but he's somebody that I've admired from afar for many, many years. And he's spent decades building institutions, organizations that serve people, from
Yes,
children's homes, schools, to financial institutions and foundations.
an adoption agency.
Yes. Oh, yeah. And but what impresses me is that Steve, or Brother Steve,
Steve, nice.
has approached ministry with a distinctively uh, entrepreneurial mindset,
Yes.
and that's what I'm really curious about to explore today with you. So, welcome, Steve Jury, to
Thank
the
you,
Calling
Philip.
and the Climb.
It is certainly my pleasure to be here with you. In particular, I've also learned to admire your passion for kingdom and your efficiency that you have used of your life to make a difference for others. And now in this season of quote retirement, you're just retreaded.
What's retirement?
I don't know.
I know you don't know. I know you don't know. That's what I'm talking about. So, when you look back at your career, um, you might say you started a lot of ministries, but it wasn't just ministries. You built institutions.
Yes.
So, let me ask you this. When did you realize that structure mattered as much as passion?
I think when you come up against challenges, uh, you have to be willing to change the direction that has always been to be able to move forward.
Hmm.
And so it's not being afraid of changing things or the risk involvement. And when you love people, you don't care what it takes and who you might have to help change their mind, but you have to do it in the right spirit in
Hmm.
order to move forward.
Hmm.
So I would say that much of the key to my success has been, if you call it success, and
Oh, I do.
well, thank you,
Big
but
time.
it is willing to give of yourself passionately to make a difference.
Hmm.
And when you're willing to do that, and you are willing to take some risks along the way, you end up finding new avenues to conquer things that you wouldn't have thought of before.
That's good. And so you mentioned the passion, and I've seen that in your ministry through the years, and I feel that in talking to you. But it's more than just passion. You need systems.
Yes, absolutely.
So when did that first occur to you that you got to have more than passion?
I think the first real knowledge of what I need to do was the first church I pastored.
Oh,
And
okay.
I didn't ask, I didn't apply to be the pastor of the church, or they asked me to come and preach for them a couple of times. But it was in a town of 100 people. And there was a church of another faith there that ran 50. And our first Sunday we had 28 and didn't leave too many souls in the community, that you need to reach out to, whatever their faith is. And so I started by systematically, how do we build character in the ministry that draws people to want to be a part? And it became a natural bend. I don't even know how to explain it, but it became a natural bend of being willing to change things. For example, I took on a missionary. I didn't have a church vote. I didn't know you're supposed to have a church vote to take on a new missionary. And two of the trustees, they got together, and one of them said, "Well, I'll take the pastor to lunch and explain he needs to have the whole church vote on it." And my comment was, "Well, that's not going to happen because God told me I need to take them on, and yeah, I don't know what you're going to do about it, but we're going to take missionaries on when I feel like it." I never heard about it again. And I can honestly tell you, every time we took on a new missionary, we won a new family in the community. It was God orchestrated, and I didn't say it to him out of ugliness. I said it out of passion,
Hmm.
and that this is the right thing to do. It's not against what you're asking or saying,
Hmm.
but your presentation and your spirit comes through and helps you
Hmm.
because people then trust you.
Hmm.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Now, in your work with the children's home, um, you and your wife have helped raise over 1,000 children.
Yes.
And I happened to be with you one time and I'll never forget this, but on a Father's Day, I think it was the day before
Yeah.
Father's Day, and you were constantly getting dings on your phone.
Yes.
I'm like, somebody needs you. And it's like all the kids wishing
Yes.
you a happy Father's Day. And that really touched me.
You're actually bringing tears to my eyes talking about it, because when you change lives that didn't have hope, they fall in love with you and they want to keep you as a friend
Yeah.
and a father image in my case. And so I know that they had what they called an extended family reunion, a Drury family reunion. I didn't know a thing about it
Mhm.
after we moved to St. Louis, and they had it in North Little Rock, and there were like 250, 300 people that we raised that showed up at this, surprised us to pieces. Um, and you don't do it for that. You do it because you want to see lives changed. And so when you're passionate about it, that love comes through.
Yeah. I get, the passion and the kids gravitating toward that, and it's a lifelong thing. But to make a lasting impact, seems to me it has to go beyond just you and your wife's
Oh,
personality.
absolutely.
But you had to build something that really would outlast you, right? Because you
Absolutely.
weren't there forever.
Right.
Talk to me about that.
Yes. What I did was I would hire people for positions who had a passion rather than the education, because education sometimes locks them into certain channels of thinking. Whereas when they fall in love with the purpose of what they're doing,
Hmm.
you can send them to get the education, but then they apply the education based upon the purpose.
That's good.
Whereas if they get the education, sometimes it's all the purpose is lost in all of
Mm.
that. So it wasn't uncommon for me to send many staff members to college to get their degrees in the specific field that I saw their talent or their bend.
Hmm.
So it wasn't if you had the education, it was more did you have the passion and the willingness
Hmm.
to change lives and do whatever it took
Yeah,
than to equip yourself better.
that's good. So you were building the structure that would support kids
Absolutely.
on and even after you had left that organization.
Absolutely.
That's great.
Yes.
So just be honest with me. What you've worked with a lot of nonprofits and consulted with a lot of purpose-driven organizations over
Yes.
the years. Why do some fail, even
I
with the noble mission?
I think a lot of it is built around not the whoever's over it wants to enhance themselves instead of making the ministry better. So when you're self-focused, you lose the whole purpose and you get lost in that I've got to have the recognition.
Hmm.
And when you feel like you have to have the recognition, then that's number one instead of the purpose or the calling. Having
Hmm.
said that, I have this saying, leaving the ego and the logo at the door.
I love that.
I keep thinking I need to write a book about it,
Yeah.
because when you leave your personal ego at the door and you leave whatever organization you're head of or a part of at the door, then you're able to sit at the feet of others who are successful and learn nuggets from them
Hmm.
to apply to make you successful. But when you're involved in the ego side of it, it's all based upon what you do, how you do it, and who compliments you and how much money you make.
Hmm.
And when you do that, you've lost the ability to really change lives because they see through that,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
people around you.
That's
So
interesting.
I used to have this saying that what was good, you've heard it before, what's good for the goose is good for the gander.
Hmm.
And so when we were at the children's home, if there was a mail out, my wife and I and our family, all three of our children, we showed up to be just like everybody else. Because when you make yourself look like you're better than someone else, you take away that ability for them to blossom with what God's ability is.
Hmm.
So you have to give them that feeling that they have capacity,
Hmm.
just like you had capacity.
Yeah. That's so good. I've seen it in my industry as well. Ego gets in the way of
Oh,
progress all the
absolutely.
time.
And that's also what causes organizations to fail,
Yeah.
because it's built around personality instead of purpose.
It's just interesting to hear that is true in purpose-driven mission organizations as well,
Yes.
not just in the corporate
And
side of
it's
things.
also in churches.
Yeah, interesting. Wow. Well, we won't dwell there, but that was a nugget of truth,
Thank you.
that's for sure. Well, one thing that fascinates me about you, Steve, is you've done so many different varied things throughout very meaningful things, but they're so different.
Yes.
You go from the children's home, and then at some point in time, you are starting a loan fund, a bank
Yes.
at a religious organization. What problem were you trying to solve there?
Oh, the problem is very clear, and that is as society gets more anti-God,
Uh-huh.
and communities get more focused on making money versus changing lives and improving lives, banks someday, and some of them already, don't want to loan money for churches that are growing because A, it's leaving less of a tax base as they grow for
Mhm.
the property that they buy in the community. And some are so focused on the tax income to solve problems in the community, where the truth really is if the church is growing and they follow the commandments of the scripture, it solves a lot of those problems in the
No doubt.
community.
Yeah.
But what we were wanting to do was do a couple of things. Number one was to be able to good stream of earnings to investors. But most of all, the bigger reason was that we could loan out to churches, and instead of banks making the profit, the loan fund makes the profit.
Hmm.
And banks will sometimes take that profit to support ideas and lifestyles that we preach against. So why don't we get that money
Hmm.
of the earnings
Hmm.
within your church organization to help promote the good things?
Yeah.
So I saw it as a passion to bypass the mindset of communities and bring in the spiritual side in those communities by offering loans to the churches.
I love that. So bringing business principles into the church environment for good,
Absolutely.
and not just for the profit motive, but the profit motive with a purpose, I guess,
Yes.
right?
But now I have to tell you,
Hmm.
had a lot of negative feedback because,
Really?
oh, yeah, because you aren't supposed to charge usury.
Oh my.
But when you get down to it,
Now, some of our people may not understand what that means.
that's you charge interest.
Ah, there you go. I understand. Yeah, I'm
And
interested. I understand that.
so they felt like if you're a Christian, you ought to be able to get the money free of charge, you know? Well,
Mm,
how do you build an organization? How do you build a business?
yeah.
And one of the neat things that I foresaw was that we could capture the large market for churches getting their loans through the church organization and the church organization making the 3% spread instead of a local bank.
Yeah.
And last year alone, the loan fund grew $1 million a month.
That's awesome.
And I see the day that it'll be $1 billion within our church
Yeah.
organization that I've been a part of all these years.
And you were the one that started that.
Yes, and
Wow.
it wasn't always fun and games. It was the naysayers who said, "Well, we've tried it in this area and that area, and we lost everybody's money. What makes you think you're going to do it?"
Yeah.
And so I had to be able to build on my past history at the children's home
Uh-huh.
and ask them, "Weren't you on my board?" Yes. Well, did I ever really fail at anything I presented to you I wanted to do? Well, no. Well, would you give me a chance to try this?
Uh-huh.
And they had no, so it was built upon your previous history.
Yeah.
That gives you a lot of success doors to open. Whereas when you bring forth a new idea, it is shot down right away unless you
Have some
prepare the leadership to think differently above you.
good point. I didn't have this prepared to ask you, but this just occurred to me. Was there ever a time that you felt like this is a futile effort? Maybe I should just give up.
Yes, but it wasn't because of the purpose of the ministry. It was my own emotional health at the time.
Really?
And what we don't like to talk about is we are flesh and blood.
Yeah.
And if we don't take good care of that flesh and blood, our own systems,
Hmm.
it can get out of kilter, if you please.
Hmm.
And so I have to talk about this in the sense that many people feel if you're a leader, you're never going to have depression or illnesses or whatever. I hit depression like crazy because I
Really?
left my dream at the children's home, then the adoption agency and the church we started that became the largest church in the North Mississippi of our faith, and the thrift store that was making $250,000 a year. All those things that I started there, the unwed mother's home, all those things I left behind that was my core dream,
Hmm.
but I knew God shut the door.
Interesting.
But shutting the door and you leaving it behind are two different things because it deals with your emotions.
Okay.
And so here I was. I ended up being pastor of a wonderful church in North Little Rock. I love those people, and the Lord closed the door again. And I ended up going to someplace I said I'd never go. I would never move back north, and I would never work at our church headquarters. And I threw those two things out the window because God called.
Yeah.
And accepting his call and dealing with it sometimes are two different subjects.
It's the calling, then the climb.
And then the climb. And I don't mind telling you, there were days I didn't want to climb
Wow.
because it was effort. It was bucking the systems. It
Yeah.
was changing the mindset.
Yeah.
So I would like to give a little information right here, if you don't mind, in regard to starting new things.
Mm-hmm.
And that is, I call it the three-step program. You introduce to your leadership, if you're under a board, 3 years in advance what you think you would like to accomplish. And then if you have a trustee meeting in between that and the next big board meeting, you bring it back up again. And then the next board meeting, I'm really liking what I told you about a year ago. And then you mention again to the trustees, by the third year, they can't say they haven't been warned.
Mm-hmm.
And I experience it every time. They said, well, just get on with it. And so that three-step program of programming their minds to accept the change was necessary.
I think that's excellent. That is excellent. Nobody likes anything sprung on them,
No.
particularly on a board situation, right?
Right.
So,
So there was one other thing I did, and that was when I was first elected head of the children's home. The vice president, James Lumpkin, was sent by the chairman of the board and told me two things. He came all the way from Arkansas to tell Evelyn and me two things. One, always dress professional.
good.
Two, no surprises. So if you have an issue, it's not wrong to have an issue. It's wrong if you hide it from or don't inform the leadership
So good.
so that when they get a call, they aren't surprised by someone else.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that saved me over and over again. It's leadership skills that you learn
Yeah.
as you go along.
Full transparency.
Full transparency.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So let me jump back to something you mentioned that sparked a question in my mind. You talked about the difficulty when a door was closed. That's been in my experience as well. Some of the hardest times of my life have been transition times,
Oh, yes.
going from the known to I don't know what the next chapter is.
Yes.
And you've experienced that several times.
I have.
Talk to me about dealing with that, your feelings. And I want you to be honest because at the time I'm feeling, well, something's wrong with me. I'm out of the will of God
Yeah.
because I feel lost.
Yeah.
Talk
Well,
about that.
Yeah, well, that's a real deal that you have to deal with
Yeah.
internally. So I would say that, number one, Evelyn and I didn't apply to be head of the children's home.
You didn't.
No. I have never applied for a job except when I left the children's home the first time as an employee, and I went to Oklahoma City and I applied to work at a office supply store.
That's the only time you applied.
Since my adulthood, I've never applied anything. God has orchestrated it and
Interesting.
scared the fire out of me every time. And so we went for a banquet, and we ended up walking away 2 days before I turned 28, and I was legally parent to 67 kids. I took my first child to college when I was 28. So you step in those situations, you realize, hey, I'm not equipped, but God, you have the answers. I need wisdom.
Mhm.
Because if you depend on your own personality, your own wisdom, you're going to find yourself in a big heap of trouble. So did I make mistakes along the way? Absolutely. But you learn from those mistakes. You admit those mistakes.
Mhm.
You don't have to make a big deal about it, but you admit it to yourself and maybe to the people that you may have offended or you hurt along the
Mhm.
way. Always make it right.
Mhm.
So when I went to St. Louis, it was one of those times I didn't want to move back north. I didn't want to work at a headquarters because I'd always run my own organizations, and all of a sudden you had this
Bureaucracy.
Thank
Yeah.
you. It
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
very much bureaucracy,
Yeah.
and they lived in what they had experienced in their past, and I was doing all brand new things that they had tried a couple times before, and it had failed.
Whoa.
So I had to stand upon my past history
Mhm.
of what I had accomplished in order to move forward. But
Mhm.
having said that, it still wasn't easy. And it was depressing at times because you felt like these walls were up there. There's no money to do what you need to do. You're starting something new. If we cut you, why we'd have enough money
Mhm.
to take care of something else because you haven't proven your success yet.
Mhm.
But luckily, when I was hired to do that, I told the general superintendent, I only want to work under you because you have the vision to fund what I need to do. Number two is we're growing oak trees, not tomato plants.
Ah, good.
And
Explain the difference.
well, tomato plants you plant and you expect a harvest within the season. Oak trees, it's going to take years to build
Good.
and make a difference. And so everything with the stewardship group has been a venture of oak trees, not tomato plants.
Interesting. Interesting. So I'm going to pivot now to an organization that you introduced me to,
Yes,
and really that's the genesis of me getting to know you more,
yes,
and that's LifeSprings.
yes.
And why don't you just share with our audience what the vision behind LifeSprings is?
My passion has been to fund the kingdom above tithes and offerings.
When you're talking about the kingdom of God,
Yes.
not the kingdom of Saudi Arabia,
No, no, no.
the
The
kingdom of
kingdom of
God.
God. How do
Yeah,
we fund it?
yeah.
Because the Great Commission says we're to reach everybody, every tribe, tongue, nation.
That's expensive to do that,
Yes,
right?
we have over 7,100 tribes in the world.
Hmm.
We only have 220 some nations. So when we talk about we've reached all but three or four nations, what about the other 7,000 or 6,800 tribes
Yeah,
that go across different countries that
sure.
don't have a capital, don't have a leader. They just
Hmm.
have their systems within their tribe, if you please.
Hmm.
And so, having said that, I wanted to build something that would provide income forever.
Hmm.
So, with the foundation was the first piece that I started, and so I went to a school. I was 7 months of schooling of others who had done it within different denomination ranks. And again, I left my ego and I left my logo of our church denomination at the door,
Good,
and I sat under the feet at the feet of others who had been successful.
good.
It wasn't about your beliefs or your doctrine because it was business. It had to do with business principles.
Hmm.
And so I was able to sit at the feet of successful people
Hmm.
to help me find the people that I needed to bring along with me to make me
Hmm.
successful. And I have to tell you, Philip, I'm not the success. I am the person that has always believed in hiring people smarter than me.
That's my philosophy as well.
And when you hire people smarter than you in areas, they're going to make you look good.
Sure.
So you're talking to me today. The truth is, there's a bunch of people out there that were more qualified than me in specific areas, but I happen to have the history of trust.
Hmm.
And so I don't know if that answers your question, but it's one of those things that I with the foundation, it was how do we create permanent funding? So as of today, we have probably 140 scholarship funds, endowments. We have donor advised funds. We have charitable trusts under management.
Hmm.
We have charitable gift
Hmm.
annuities under management. And all of these are captured, managed,
Hmm.
and then it spits off, if you please, income annually to ministries. But the corpus or the original piece of
Principal.
money is always there.
I love it.
The loan fund is a money making machine.
Yeah. And then LifeSprings similarly is designed to empower entrepreneurs
Yes,
with part of their profit then going into this funding mechanism, correct?
absolutely.
Yeah.
So many pastors, they're afraid when you tap into their professionals in their church on the pew.
Well, why should they not be afraid?
Well, I think it depends on the personality
Yeah.
of the person that's inviting them to be a part of
Yeah.
something. Do they have an alternative motive to,
Well, if you're coming, why disabuse them of the feeling that they have to be fearful that you're going to steal
oh, I,
capital from their church or whatever.
yeah, I made it very clear when we started LifeSprings, we want the education, the experience, and the expertise
Hmm.
of people in your church to help others become successful in a business.
That's right.
We don't want their money.
A rising tide lifts all boats, right?
Absolutely. And so when I called 12 different pastors and I asked them, I have somebody in your church I'd like to invite to a meeting to form a group that we eventually called LifeSprings. Out of the innermost being flows creative ideas.
Hmm.
I said, we promise you we will not ask for a dollar
Hmm.
from any of these people. We want their education, their experience, and their expertise to help others
Thank
become successful who have an idea but
you.
need to be mentored,
Hmm.
need to be led, need to be coached, for them to become successful, but we want them then to give some of their profits to the foundation to create permanent funding for missions, whether it's global or North American, education, which could be even the local church school, or any of the colleges or seminaries, and then humanitarian, which can include a boys' home, a children's home, an adoption agency,
even overseas,
Compassion Services International, all of those things, Reach Out America. You can create a permanent gift to give to those things beyond your years here on earth.
I love it.
So while you're gone, when you leave this earth, and the Lord hasn't returned yet, there's money because of your passion to change lives set aside by the vision of LifeSprings in the foundation to create permanent streams of income.
And I think, the corporate world has done that. You have the Rockefeller Foundation, all these foundations. But what I love your vision is that, if the corporate world can do it, why can't the church do it for good?
Yeah,
right. And I'm not saying these other organizations don't do good. We know that many of them do. But what is the difference in something that works and something that outlast even my life or whatever? What's the blessing of that? It's
I think it is that your life lives on even when you're gone.
Yeah.
And I feel like what I have done, I've never made a lot of money, but I've certainly helped others make a lot of money. But I find myself getting blessings that if I had the money, I would have maybe done it. But I end up getting blessings from people who fell in love with Evelyn and me because I helped them, that I don't have to pay out of my pocket. You can't equate money with whether you're successful or not. Good. It's changing lives.
So let me ask, okay, I was going to ask you, what is your definition of success today?
Changing lives.
Changing lives.
Giving them hope that they wouldn't have had any other way, whether it's through adoption, whether it's an unwed mother, whether it's a missionary that needs permanent funding. It doesn't matter. There's just a plethora of options out there. But what is it your passion is? So let's say we help you start a business in LifeSprings, and you have a passion to, say, build water wells in Africa in villages that don't have clean water. Go for it.
Yeah.
We'll help you start the business. We'll mentor you. We'll coach you. And then you give that money in an endowment in the foundation, and it kicks off money until the Lord returns to help build water wells in Africa.
Help put legs on your dreams.
Absolutely.
I love that. All right. I'm going to ask you one final question, Steve. I'm sure someone may be watching and there's a burning passion. I want to do something. I want to build something, but not just build a company or build a career, but something that's meaningful. Something that will outlive me. What is your advice for them? What's one bit of advice you can give that person right now? Maybe it's a young person. They don't have a lot of money right now, but like they feel that urge. I want to do something that counts.
I think leave your ego and logo at the door and find other people that have done something similar, and you be willing to go to them and listen instead of thinking you know it all.
That is some great advice right there. Steve Drury, thank you so much for being on the podcast today. I'm going to have you back. And there's many other things that we can explore with you, but I didn't want to abuse our time together and take too long right now. But thank you so much. I appreciate you and all that you've done for the kingdom of God and for people.
And I'm not done. I may be retired.
I love it. I love it. God bless you. Thank you.